What is up, YouTube? I am Eric and you are watching Retro Video Game Pickups. Today, we will be talking about my top 5 Nintendo 64 games that I loved as a kid that may not have aged well. So, let's hop into it. Okay, so when I was a kid, I loved the Nintendo 64. And as you can tell, I still do. And that's why I decided to do this list. I picked my top 5 games that I played as a kid that may not have aged well. So, let's check it out. So, my first game is Cruisin' Exotica. So, this is a really rad racing game. I got this when I was younger and I absolutely loved it. Now, I don't know if my nostalgia is playing a factor on this game, but whenever I was a kid, there was a pizza place nearby that I played this game in the arcade, and I loved the crap out of it. So, Cruisin' Exotica has some really great tracks. They're just all wild. So if you've played a Cruisin' game, you know it's your basic arcade racer. However, with Exotica, it changes it up, and you get these really beautiful looking maps that just you wouldn't expect to see. Like, there's an underwater map, there's a map through Las Vegas or Hong Kong, there's also a map on Mars, which I thought was pretty cool. So, if you like fun racers, this one looks pretty good because of the weird, wacky, exotic maps, but overall, it's a mediocre game. Like, I played it and the hitboxes are terrible. If you get hit, your car gets thrown out of the way and you're just like, crap, now I lost my place. And I don't really like that about the game, because once you're trying to actually like be legitimate and drive and win, you get bumped and you're back in 6th place again and you're not gonna win. So I say Cruisin' Exotica looks really cool when it was young, when I was young, but now it's just aged out, and that's why I've put it on this list. My next game in this list is Kobe Bryant's NBA Courtside. So when I was younger, early 2000s, maybe late 90s, there was this team called the LA Lakers, and if you know anything about basketball, you know that they were on top. They were all that was meant to be. They were winning championships right and left. And so when this game came out, I was like, oh snap, I gotta get it. And I got it, and I played it, and I loved it. But I went back recently and played it, and it sucks. The graphics are terrible, the controls are bad. It's just not a fun game. So that's why I put this on this list. And I liked it as a kid, I absolutely loved it, but it just doesn't hold up today. Okay, so my next game is Monster Truck Madness, which is a big shame because when I was a kid, I loved this game. So the racing of it is okay, the controls are not good. The fog and the snow just makes this game unbearable to play. However, I enjoy the hockey, the soccer, and the Summit Rally. So the Summit Rally is where you get a NWO ring, which is weird because, you know, Nintendo 64 and wrestling. So you got an NWO ring, and you take 4 trucks, and you all try to get on top and stay on top. So it's kind of like King of the Hill. So on top of the ring is a white box, and you have to stay on that box to get points. And if you don't, you get knocked off, and you lose points. So it can be a very frustrating game, but it's very fun if you play it with multiple players. However, the graphics on this game are not good. So if you look in the stands when you're playing that game, or when you play the hockey or the soccer, it just looks bad, and really it falls to the Nintendo 64 and the whole fog, and it just doesn't look good. So that's why I made this list. Okay, so my next game is a sports game, and as you probably know, sports games did not hold up well. So I'm going to be talking about NFLQuarterback Club 99, which, for what it was a fun game. I didn't play it too much because the passing really hadn't been made well. However, when it came to running the ball, I had so much fun because you could do all the deeks, and you could do a spinorama, and you could just have some fun with it. So I enjoyed it for that aspect, but other than that, the game just isn't well. It looks blocky as crap. You see the fans and it looks crappy. You see the cheerleaders come in. It sounds bad. And it's just not a good game that has held up for the Nintendo 64. And sadly, that is also why I made the list. Okay, so my last but not least game is Tony Hawk Pro Skater. And now, there were 3 of these on the system. I played 1 and 2 the most, and those are very fond for me. So, whenever I was playing these games, it was my first time hearing some of the great punk bands that I listened to. So, when I started this one out, Goldfinger was playing. And I was like, oh snap, I forgot this was on here. So, this game is so great because back in the 90s and the early 2000s, skateboarding for me was really high up on the list, and it was really cool, and I just had so much fun with it. I love that you could do tricks. I love that it had Tony Hawk. It had all the great players, but it had Rodney Mullen, which for me was a big deal because he was that weird guy who did some crazy wacky tricks, but he was still a great skater. So I enjoyed this game so much. I play it all the time. So I even recently played it with my friends and we beat 1 through 4. So we got 5 and couldn't finish it. That was a bad game. But Tony Hawk Pro Skater, in my book, is still one of the best Nintendo 64 games. However, it does not look good anymore. It just looks like polygons on polygons on polygons. And so for that reason, I put it on this list, and some of the controls can be a little wonky on it. Now, I know they remastered it on another game, and I think that game was better. However, this Nintendo 64 version was not as great. So that is why I'm putting it on this list. Sadly, but it is still a fun game, and I will still play the crap out of it. Okay, so that was my top 5 Nintendo 64 games that I loved as a kid that may not have aged well. If you liked this video, please comment below, because I would like to know your feedback, because I'd like to continue doing these top 5 lists, because I think it gives new gamers just a little bit more games that may not be the well-known games, or maybe the hidden gems, or just bad games to stay away from. So, thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe.